All right, so as you read through the top of this email and you saw some of the advice that we had in there that people may have given you over the years, right? Unfortunately, misguided advice. Not that people have ill intent with saying those types of things. It's just that there's really common misconceptions out there about nutrition. It really is this simple. It takes a caloric deficit to lose weight. It is impossible for you to be under eating and gain or maintain your weight. Fact. Okay? So if you have that idea in your head, it's not true. That being said, we could decrease our daily caloric burn. We could screw up our metabolism by not eating enough of the right things. And we're going to talk about that, right? But you could not possibly go into starvation mode and hold on to body fat and increase your weight, right? Very common misconception. The fact is, people tend to underestimate how much they are actually eating, okay? And then the other things that were up there about, you know, you've got to do intermittent fasting. It works. It works for some people. It doesn't work for everybody. It might be an option that would make sense, but it's definitely not something that you would have to do, right? You've got to eat clean foods, whatever that means. Does that mean I need to scrub my food with soap and water? Like, okay, might be a good idea. I don't know about that. Maybe what they really mean is eating mostly whole foods. Okay, I can get behind that, but we don't need to do it all the time, right? So all of these things up here are not necessarily true. They're often misguided advice that someone heard from someone who heard it from someone who then goes on and tells you, and it just leaves us all very confused. The next thing is we've got this huge list of diets. I went on Google and I put in, you know, best diets of 2019, and those are a bunch of them that came up. And at the end of the day, most diets, pretty much every diet is going to come down with manipulating one of two things. Two, I don't know, my thumb kind of counts as one, but two things. Food quantity, right? That's calories in. Food quality, which on many of them is going to be different breakdowns of macronutrients, or they're going to say, oh, it's got to be sourced this way, whatever, right? But food quality and food quantity, okay? So all of that can be pretty confusing then. Which one should I do? And at the end of the day, I'm going to talk about a principle or some principles that I think that you should take into account if you are looking to drop body fat, but then keep your metabolism up so that it's easier for you to maintain what you drop, keep your energy up, be able to go out and enjoy the things that you want to do. If that sounds like something that you're after, then today's video is for you, okay? So the main thing that I want to talk about is that here's what matters most. Calories in, calories out. It is all energy balance. It really is that simple. But now we need to take it a step further, because you could hear that and you could say, all right, well, I'm just going to start eating less. Well, no, we don't want to undereat by so much that we have absolutely no energy. We feel like crap because we're going to crave foods. We're going to wind up crashing off of that diet. And then we're going to yo-yo way back up, at least to where we were. And oftentimes people go off the rails and end up in a worse place than where they started. So we've got to talk about a better approach than that. The other thing is that maybe you're like, all right, well, you know, I'm just going to cut my calories from fats because I heard that fats are bad, or, you know what, carbs are definitely no good. So I'm going to cut out all carbs. Also a misguided approach, definitely not something that we want to do. The big thing is that we want to make sure that we're covering our bases with macronutrients, that we're getting enough calories that we can keep our energy up and be able to go and do the things that we want to do, right? So for base starter, what we do at the gym when people sign up is we give them this card that I have up on the screen right now, and we're going to look at both sides of it. And this is just a base starting point. This still does leave the opportunity for people to underestimate how much they're eating. So we do still see some people underestimate how much they're eating and say, hey, I'm not losing any weight, or you know, my weight's actually gone up trying to do this, and you know, I know that I'm not eating too much. Well, unless we're really tracking and we're looking at it and we actually have an idea of how many calories we should be getting, there's no way to really know. That being said, we've really had two distinct results with this program. We have some people who do this and are consistent with it, which is the most important ingredient, being consistent with it. We're not aiming for 100% consistency, but better is better, right? 80% consistency is good. 85% consistency is good. 90% is good. Any more than 90, a lot of times people start to feel too restricted and just, I can't enjoy anything, and you're going to fall off. So we're not looking for 100% adherent, right? But people that do that, we've had, again, two types. We get types who do seem to be estimating things well and drop weight and improve all kinds of, markers of health when they go back to their doctor for a physical. And that's awesome. And so all that those people are focusing on is eating slowly and stopping at 80% full, eating protein-dense foods with each meal, eating veggies with each meal, eating most carbs after exercise. Notice we did not say avoiding carbs. I wish I could go back and rewrite this. I mean, I could, but we printed like 1,000 copies, and just say have a little more carbs after exercise and eat healthy fats with each meal, which leaves most people saying, okay, makes sense. The only one that does hang up some people is eat slowly and stop at 80% full. If that's confusing to you, switch out 80% full with eat slowly and stop when satisfied. The eating slowly is just giving ourselves enough time to register satiation levels. Say that 10 times fast, right? So it's just eating slowly and mindfully and stopping when we're satisfied. But how much of each of these things? Well, for women, 1 of each. For men, 2 of each. Palm of protein, fist of vegetables, thumb of fats, cupped handful of carbs. So think about putting together a salad. Speaking for myself, that could be 2 fists of veggies. Maybe that's a fist of green leafy vegetables and then another fist of whatever other veggies I want to throw in there, peppers and onions and carrots and whatever, right? And really, that's the one where I'll say that's a minimum. We can't really have too many veggies. So if we want to go for more than 2 fists, awesome, load that sucker up. Then I've got my 2 palms of protein. I'm going to put my protein source on top of my salad. So maybe, for me, who likes chicken thigh or who likes chicken breast? No one likes chicken breast. So I'm going to go, that's like 2 chicken thighs, right? So I'm going to throw 2 chicken thighs on there, and then I've got my 2 thumbs of fat. So maybe that's a thumb of oil-based dressing, right? And then we've got a thumb of, I want some crunch. I'm going to throw some almonds on there, and I'll kind of sliver them up a little bit so that there's not like the huge crunch, and it's just kind of spread throughout, right? So thumb of oil-based dressing, thumb of almonds for my salad, and then my 2 cupped handfuls of carbs. I'm going to go 2 cupped handfuls of quinoa, which might sound weird, but if you've never had it, don't knock it till you rock it. It's really good on salads, but it could be rice. It could be, whatever carbs, it could be croutons, right? There's nothing wrong with it. So now that doesn't even include salt, pepper, whatever spices we want to throw on top to really spice this thing up. There you go. And then we just pay attention, right? How do we feel afterwards? Are we still really, really hungry? Okay, let's add some more veggies if our goal is fat loss to increase that satiation, or make sure that we were, drinking water and having non-calorie containing beverages with this. And if we're looking to gain muscle and increase our strength, maybe we experiment with, another cupped handful of carbs or another thumb of fats, depending on which one you tolerate well. Again, this approach is not an exact science. Takes a little bit more mindfulness, but for a lot of people it works. Then there's the other camp. The other camp tends to say, yeah, I'm doing really good with this, but I'm maintaining or I'm gaining my weight. And most times what we find is that with these people, we actually have them track. I don't want people doing this long term unless they really want to. We'll have them actually track what it is that they're eating with a when you bite it, write it approach, and plug it into an app like MyFitnessPal, and start to see how many calories they're actually getting a day, how many grams of protein, how many grams of carbs, how many grams of fats, and just get an idea of where they're at. And what we find is that people are not getting enough protein, right? And they're getting too many calories in general, right? Could be from carbs, could be from fats, could be, whatever. But at the end of the day, more often than not getting enough protein. And this is an issue. Because if, as I talked about at the beginning, if we just haphazardly cut calories, right, we'll lose weight. We'll lose weight. We just cut calories from anywhere, we will lose weight. But if we don't keep our protein high enough, then a lot of that weight loss or too much of that weight loss may actually come from our lean muscle. Why is that a problem? Because our lean muscle is what actually keeps our metabolism higher, our resting metabolic rate, our RMR, okay? So if we're dropping off lean muscle, we're actually decreasing our metabolism. And now it's like, all right, our metabolism goes lower. So now our caloric deficit isn't working enough, and it's just like they keep racing each other to the bottom, and it goes to crap. We feel like crap, our health falls apart. So what we want to do, if this is the case, and we would like a little bit more of, there's no exact science, but a more accurate science, is we will test body composition. And we've done this with a handful of people very recently who were in this situation. And what we'll do is we'll test body composition. At our facility, we use what's called body metrics. It is ultrasound. It's very reliable. And once we have an accurate body fat, we can plug it into a total daily energy expenditure calculation, right? And I'm gonna, in this email, there will be a link for one if you wanna check it out. And if you wanna get your body composition tested, hit us up, even if you're not a member. We'd be happy to set a time for a very small charge, to test your body composition and get you some accurate numbers. Then with this, we can find out what our total daily energy expenditure is, and we can set a goal of creating a caloric deficit, which a goal of about 25% tends to work out well for most people to consistently lose weight, maintain muscle, keep their energy up, and get to their goals. And then what we want to do is we figure out that caloric goal, the 25% deficit from our TDEE, our total daily energy expenditure, okay? We take 25% off the top of that, so now we have 75% of our TDEE, and we want to figure out our macronutrient breakdown, which for most people, they're going to do well on about 40% of their calories coming from protein, 40% of their calories, 35 to 40% of their calories coming from carbs, and the remainder coming from healthy fats, okay? And we don't need perfect adherence. Just like we talked about with the pocket portion guide, right? We're really looking for 85 to, 80 to 90%, really, 80 to 90% adherence on this, and you're gonna do really well. But again, we wanna be careful with our cheat meals because calories in versus calories out. The last thing that we wanna do is say, oh, I'm having some cheat meals, and we wind up consuming a 2,000 calorie meal, and then we do that twice a week, and we just way overshoot on those cheat meals, and we actually make up for the caloric deficit that we were in with our cheat meals. That's all energy balance. We wind up not losing weight. We wind up not improving our body composition. So, okay, we want to make sure that we create a caloric deficit. The pocket portion guide does work for most people. Keep our protein high enough. The pocket portion guide, if we're getting 1 palm for women, 2 palms for men, for most people, that's going to do that. But if we're looking for, and then still make sure we're getting our veggies, our fats, our carbs in the portions that we talk about right here, right? And if we're looking for a little bit more of, it's not an exact science, but a better science, then we can go to a calorie approach by getting our body composition, getting our TDEE, figuring out that deficit, setting our macros. But we don't want this to become something that we need to track those numbers for perpetuity and for the rest of our life. We can't go out and have fun. The big thing is to do it long enough that we start to understand how much is enough to create that loss until we get to a goal body weight. On the way to our goal body weight, we will need to retest and adjust our calories and our macronutrients because as our body composition, as our body fat goes down, our body weight goes down, then we have to adjust our calories to our new normal until we find where we want to maintain. Once we find that, we start to be able to eye up based on the hand portion guide about how many palms of protein, how many fists of veggies, how many thumbs of fat, how many cupped handfuls of carbs throughout the day. And now we can go back to that more intuitive and eyeing it up approach. And it works really well. And that may all sound really confusing, and I totally get that, but it's really not once you start putting it to practice. So if you'd like help with this, member, non-member, what have you, go ahead and reply to this, and we would love to set up a time to chat. If you're not a member, we would love to hook you up. Normally we do a free week of training, right? But if you're watching this video and you're like, no, I really want to do this, reply, let us know, and I will hook you up with 2 free weeks of training. And then we still even have a discounted offer to give you the rest of your first month for a discounted rate to make sure that you're digging everything. And then we can get you up and running with your training, help you out with your nutrition, and actually get you, to see progress with this stuff, get you to your goals, but rather than take the approach that, many things out there do of, all right, we got to our goal, now what? And a lot of people fall back. figure out a way for you to make this something that you can not only see yourself doing, you know, to enjoy the rest of your life, but that it's actually easy and enjoyable to do it. All right. So put this stuff to practice. Let us know what questions you have. If you're a member, make sure you're in the 16 Weeks of Fat Loss coaching group. If you want to meet up and do your body composition and all that and get some numbers to experiment with, let us know. We got you. Talk to you soon.